if you want a chair, you can use one. You don't have to. But if you are going to use a chair, you can use it. Okay. So either sit, you can lie down, sit or lie down. Up to you what you do for this first part. Okay. So either sit or lie down. So just get comfortable. It doesn't matter how you are comfortable, just as long as you are comfortable. That's the whole thing. I'm sure about that. Okay, so we're going to focus a little bit more on the pelvic floor. That doesn't mean we're not going to be doing other things, because a lot of the poses that we're going to be doing affect other parts of the body as well too. Okay. So just get comfortable and just allow yourself to revive. So we're going to go about 5 minutes over. So we'll be finishing about 12:05 today. So it's going to be still about an hour class. Okay. So just take a moment and settle yourself. Connect with yourself. Connect with your breath. And just notice what there is to notice about yourself, about your body, about your mind, what's going on with yourself, and anything else that you notice. Okay. I do have the feet cranked, so it should be getting warm in here. Okay, so the pelvic floor, I'm sure everyone knows where their pelvic floor is, at least where their pelvis is, okay? It's down below the hip area, okay? Everyone has a pelvis. Everyone has a pelvic floor, regardless if you're female or male, okay? Does not make any difference. Okay, so your pelvic floor, it holds your reproductive organs, it holds your bladder, your bowels, your intestines, and your kidneys. Okay, so it's kind of like a bowl, or you could also think of it as that the thing you jump on a trampoline. So it's like a trampoline, and it's a muscle. Okay, so just maybe you can visualize that, or you can feel that. It also helps with your breathing. Okay, it makes your body, helps to make your body breathe. So your diaphragm, which is a muscle underneath your lungs, and your pelvic floor act like a piston, which goes in the same direction. So when you breathe in, your diaphragm lowers, so you have your lungs can expand. And then when it lowers, it presses on your belly, so your belly expands, and the pelvic floor lowers. So it softens, okay? And when you exhale, the pelvic floor tightens and it moves upwards, which brings the belly in, which brings the diaphragm in and up to squeeze the lungs, releasing the air out of the lungs, okay? So your body is automatically doing this. You don't even have to think about it. But I'd like you to bring some awareness to this place right now. So if you want to place your hands on your belly or wherever, it doesn't make any difference. Just see if you can visualize that breathing. Your body's doing it, regardless if you're not aware of it. But I'd like you to bring some awareness into that type of breathing. Okay. So this is called diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing, yeah. And so you're just being a little bit more aware of that diaphragm and the pelvic floor moving. So you should feel some softness down there in the pelvic area as you breathe in, because the pelvic floor is softening, it's lowering and expanding. Just like when we do our regular yoga breathing, I tell you to expand so you feel bigger and more spacious. That's what you're doing as you're inhaling. That's what the pelvic floor is doing. Okay. And then when you exhale, it's just gonna come up and it's gonna push and squeeze Okay, and we don't have to try very hard. It's going to happen regardless if we're aware or not, or we're forcing it or not. So we're not going to force it. We're just being aware of it happening. And maybe if you really take time, you can notice it happening. So all we're doing here is breathing with awareness. Okay, so as you're breathing, I'm going to talk a little bit more. And so the pelvic floor in that area is in the second chakra area. So we have chakras, energy centers in our body. And the second chakra is the sacral chakra. That's in that pelvic area where the pelvic floor is. Okay. So the element is water. So when you notice that, you think of the reproductive organs and the bowels and the bladder, and you think about the fluids in that area. Okay, everything's moving around, fluid circulation is starting in that area. Okay, it's also a very passionate area. It relates to relationships, creativity, passion, joy, pleasure, sexuality. Okay, that's all in that area. Okay, and when we feel out of balance, we're going to know it because we're not going to be as joyful, we're not going to be as passionate. So when you want to create some balance in that area, and a good balanced area in the pelvic region, in that pelvic floor area, you're going to notice you're starting to be maybe a little bit more creative. And if you want to find balance, try to be a little bit more creative. Maybe writing, maybe reading, maybe drawing, maybe coloring, maybe building something. So finding some creativity, some outlet to do that. Yoga and movement, making sure that you're moving in that area somehow, some way. And using your breath to breathe into that area. Okay, and also going with the flow. That is one of those mudras or mantras that you can tell yourself, is to go with the flow. That has to do with that area as well too. Okay, let it go and go with the flow. Okay, try not to resist. Okay, and the color is orange, and it's kind of really great right now because there's a lot of orange colors out there. So it's makes you think of this time of the year. Okay, let's take a couple more breaths there. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you're lying on the ground or sitting in a chair or whatever, it doesn't make any difference at all. And we're going to bring our hands into a hand mudra. So the right hand is going to form a little cup, and you're going to place that into your left hand. Okay, so 2 cups, right hand into your left hand. Right hand, your right, yes, right hand into your left. No, that's not your right hand. That's your right hand. Yes, that's your right hand into your left hand. Yeah, your right hand, I'm going to mirror so that everybody knows, but it's your right hand into your left hand. And you're going to place those hands. So it's like making little cups. It's like making little cups, like cups. And they're like this, like a cup. Yeah, like this, like little boats, cups. Yeah. And you're going to place those cups near your lower belly. Okay, in and around the pelvis area. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, and your thumbs can touch or they can just come together, and you're going to place it right here. So it's like holding, it's like a bowl, which is what your pelvic floor is. It's like a bowl. Okay, and so that's kind of holding your intestines, your bladder, your bowel, your kidneys, holding all that pleasure, holding all that joy, holding all that creativity. Okay, and then from here, we're going to just do little pelvic tilts. It's not going to be a lot of movement, okay? So you're just tilting the pelvis back and forth, tilting it back and forth. Just the pelvis. Just little tilts. If you're lying down, if you want to bend your knees, then make it a little bit easier. You can do so, but you don't necessarily have to. Okay, it's just a little tiny movement. I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit here. This is, but you don't have to make it that big. It's just little tiny tilts. Tilts and release, tilts and release. Okay, so it's almost like doing cow and cat. So when the bottom of the pelvis goes back and the top of the pelvis kind of goes down, that's your inhale, and you're kind of lifting up the lower back. That's when the pelvic floor softens. That's your inhale. Okay, it lowers down and softens. When the bottom of the pelvis tilts down and the bottom of the pelvis tilts down and the top of the pelvis tilts up and back, you're kind of rounding your back. You're pushing your lower back into the ground a little bit, or pushing your lower back towards the back of the chair. That's when you're kind of squeezing in through your pelvic floor. So that's your exhale. Okay. So just finding that little tilt and feeling that. Okay. So I'm sure that you've all heard about Kegels. This was something, a big thing back in the, I think 70s and 80s. It was a lifting and squeezing of the pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to do it properly. So when you're thinking about, let's say, going pee, okay, a Kegel is when you hold the pee, stop peeing for a moment, and holding it there before releasing again. Okay. So hopefully no one has to go pee here. And if you do, please go to the bathroom. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale. Okay. Just relax everything down there. And on your exhale, you're just going to squeeze in as if you were trying to not go pee. But you're not squeezing your tummy. You're not squeezing your glutes or your hips. Okay. It's just your pelvic floor coming up and you're squeezing it up. And you can keep breathing. Okay, you keep breathing. Does everyone understand that? Yeah, I think thumbs up if you understand that. Good. Okay. Okay. So then you release it to inhale. Okay, and it softens again. And then exhale, you pull up. You should feel a little squeeze in there, but not in your glutes, not in your tummy, not in your hips, not really in your legs. It's just the muscle. Your pelvic floor muscle is working here. Okay, let's do that a couple more times. Okay, so it's like you're holding so that you don't have to pee, and then you're releasing it. Okay, so we're just going to do that a couple more times. Okay, and then just let that go. You can give yourself a stretch if you want to, because sometimes, it's bringing that awareness is sometimes is a really it produces tension. So just give yourself a little stretch for a moment. Okay. Good. Okay, so if you're on the floor, you're going to bend into your knees. If you're seated into a chair, well, you're just going to be sitting in a chair with your knees bent. Okay. Okay, good. Now we're going to do some half bridges. Okay. So if you're sitting on a chair, if you're laying on the ground, you're just going to put your weight into your feet, your shoulders, and the back of your head. Okay, that's where the weight is. Your arms are down by your side. You're going to push into the ground. And then very slowly on your inhale, without squeezing your butts, you're going to lift your hips up a little bit. Now, if you're on a chair, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to try to lift your hips up. They might not even come up off the ground, which is totally fine. But try not to squeeze your buttocks, okay? And when you exhale, you're going to sink back into the chair or into the ground, but you're going to pull in through the pelvic floor. So there's going to be a little tightening. We're still doing the half bridges exactly the same way. We're just not squeezing our buttocks. Okay? I'm actually going to go get a chair. So do that a few times. It doesn't matter how high you lift up. The idea is bringing awareness to this and making sure that you are putting in weight through your feet. Okay. So if I'm on the chair, okay, just relax your arms, push in, and you're just, it's going to be like, feel like a lift. Okay. But I'm still not, so I'm not squeezing my buttocks. Okay. I'm just lifting up and then lowering down. And I know it's counterintuitive. When you lift up, you feel like you need to squeeze. Try not to squeeze. Try to soften. It's difficult. This is not an easy thing to do. And bring yourself down. And when you're settling back into your chair on the ground, you're squeezing your pelvic floor. And you're probably thinking, what the heck? This is really hard. Because it is. It's not easy. It's just bringing the awareness into it. And you might feel like you're tightening up in some other muscles. That's okay. It's okay. You're not failing at this. Okay. You're just doing the best that you can do. Okay. Let's maybe
Can you show us from the side, maybe?
Well, you're not going to see much movement. I'm not going to be able
Oh,
to
no?
myself up. No, no.
Oh.
You're not going to be able to. No, you're just feeling that you're lifting and might be just feel like a little lift, but you're kind of softening it through the pelvic floor. And then as you come down, you're pulling the pelvic floor up. I know it's trying to figure it out in your head. It's tricky. There's not going to be hardly any movement. If you're on the ground, there's going to be a little bit more movement because you're putting the weight into your feet and you're lifting up your hips, but you're still trying to soften here. Okay. Okay. That's enough of that. Okay. So you're going to stretch out your right leg. Just stretch it out wherever you are. Just stretch out that leg. And we're just going to lift it up and down a few times. It doesn't matter how high. Just lift it up. Okay. So it's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It doesn't matter how high it's going. Knees can be bent. Okay. Okay. As the leg comes down, you're going to inhale. You're going to soften. As it comes up, you're going to squeeze. Inhale, come down, soften. Exhale, lift up, pull the pelvic floor inwards and squeeze. Okay, let's do that one more time on that same right leg. And then rest that right leg and do the left leg this time. Okay. So when the leg is down, you're inhaling, you're softening through the pelvic floor. On the exhale, you're going to lift up the leg, and again, it does not matter how high this leg is going, you're going to squeeze through the pelvic floor. Inhale to bring it down, you're going to soften. Exhale to lift it up, and you're going to squeeze. And we'll just do that a couple more times. Just going at your own pace. And again, it doesn't matter how high that leg is lifting. Knee can be bent. And then bring that leg down and just take a moment here. You can give yourself another stretch if you want to. Move your head around. Looking over each shoulder if you like. If that feels good, you can look up, you can look down. Maybe do a few shoulder shrugs if you like, wiggle around. Okay, so if you're on the ground, you're going to bring your knees in towards your chest. You can do one leg at a time if you want to, or you can do both legs at a time. If you're on a chair, you're just going to lift up your right leg. Then you can hold on underneath. You can hold on to your tibia or your kneecap, whatever feels the best for you. Okay, so we're just going to do some circles in the hips. So either one hip at a time or both hips. And we're just going to circle. Just circle those hips around. So if you're on a chair, you kind of have to do one at a time or you'll fall off the chair. Okay, if you're doing one leg, you need to go in the reverse. Make sure you're breathing here. Think about this is kind of like stirring the pot. You know, think of a big pot of soup. Your pelvis is the pot, and everything that's in your pelvis is the soup, and you're stirring it. So it's, I mean, there's a lot of fluid in that area. That's why the element is water. Okay, so go on the other direction if you're on the ground. If you're on a chair, you're going to use your left leg this time. Okay, it doesn't matter how high this leg goes. We're just going to move it around in circles. So you're either doing the left leg now or you're going in the opposite direction with both legs. And now we're going to go in the opposite direction with that left leg. Make sure you're breathing. Okay, and then we're going to bring those legs down. Give yourself another little stretch. You can stretch out those arms, stretch out those legs. Wiggle around. Good. Okay, so those of you who are on the ground, you're going to roll up into a seat. Doesn't matter how you're seated. And everyone that's in a chair, we are sitting in the chair still. Okay. So we're coming into any seat. You can sit onto a chair or you can sit on the floor. Entirely up to you. Okay. So sitting up nice and tall. You want to, if you're on the floor, you can sit on a knee pad. Okay, that will just help to move the pelvis. Okay. And we're going to do some more hip circles. So these circles can be as large or as small as you like. Okay, so you can place your hands on your thighs, your knees, or wherever, and we're going to start going around. Okay, so as you move back, you're going to inhale. The pelvic floor is going to be pushing away. As you come forwards, this is when your body's coming together, so you're squeezing in. Okay, so inhale, you're opening and expanding. Exhale, you're bringing yourself forwards and together. We'll do a couple more times in this direction. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. It's going to be one way that feels maybe a little bit better. And then just see, some people are really aware of their bodies and they're really able to notice the pelvic floor moving up and down. Some of us not so much, but that's okay. The more you practice things like this and bring that awareness to different places in your body, the more you're going to be, you might be able to feel things a little bit more or be aware of things a little bit more. Okay, let's do maybe one or two more times around. And then we're just gonna sit up nice and tall. Okay, let's take a moment. Let's maybe shake a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna do some cows and cats, however that is for you. So you can sit, you can kneel on your hands and knees, or you can stand up. whatever, okay? So you can sit like this, you can sit on the ground, you can stand up, you can come onto your hands and knees. You can even use your chair for it, okay? You can even use the chair if you want to use the chair, okay? There's so many ways of doing cow cat. So whichever way suits you the best, okay? Whatever way suits you the best. Use the knee pads if you want to, if you're on your hands and knees. You need some help there? No, you're good? Okay. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. I know. Sometimes it's tricky. Okay, so we're gonna. It's okay. Okay, so use the knee pads if you need to. We're gonna do some cows and cats. Doesn't matter if your toes are tucked or not. Okay, I'll just use the chair just because I'm using the chair. Okay, so when we drop the belly, we're inhaling and our pelvic floor is gonna soften. You might feel some opening down there. On your exhale, you're gonna tuck the tailbone and stretch up the back, and you're gonna pull in through your pelvic floor. Okay? So this way you might be able to notice it a little bit more. But you know, also, I mean, this is doing a lot more than that, right? I mean, we're using our cores, we're using our backs, we're using our abs, we're using our arms, we're using our legs, we're using our butts. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening here. But our focus today is the pelvic floor. Let's maybe do one or two more. And then we're going to come back to our table, or if you're seated, which is totally fine, you're just going to remain seated, nice and tall. So regardless of where you are, you want a nice flat back. You can also come onto your forearms. Forearms is always an option. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to start to do some circles again. Stirring that pot. Circles do not need to be big. It can be little. Just little circles going around and around and around. So you're just moving your hips in circles. And they are not going to be the most perfect size circles. We're not looking for perfection here at all. Just like life, our practice sometimes is messy, and that's totally fine. Now let's go in the opposite direction. Make sure you're breathing. Back to center, and then you're going to make your way up. So you can go do a downward dog if you want to. You can, however you want to get up. So we're going to stand up. You can push, you lift, you give yourself a nice big stretch. And we're going to stand in mountain pose for a couple moments. If you need a chair, because we're going to be doing a little bit of balance work, just have your chair handy. And we'll just stand in mountain pose for a couple of moments. And if you like, you can bring that mudra back, that hand mudra with the right hand into the left hand. Okay, and just holding it here. That was awesome. You did. Okay, so we're just standing up nice and tall in our mountain pose. Just relax the shoulders. You don't have to worry about the shoulders there. Okay, so now that we're standing up, we're going to do a few more Kegels. Remember those Kegels. So on your inhale, the pelvic floor is going to soften. And on your exhale, you're going to pull up. We're not squeezing the glutes. We're not squeezing the legs or our abs. We're just pulling up through the pelvic floor. So you should feel just a little tightening up there. And then inhale, let it drop again. Okay. So it's almost like you're holding. Repeat. Sorry, it's the only way I can explain it. But we all pee, so we shouldn't be offended by it. Yeah. And we're doing an exaggeration here because we're focusing on the pelvic floor, okay? Your body's naturally doing this, but we're exaggerating it just a little bit. Okay, let's do one more of those. Okay. And then just release that. Your body will deal with that. Okay. So we're going to be doing some squats. So if you need your chair, which I would suggest that you have your chair handy, you can use your chair. You can either hold on to the back of your chair or the seat of your chair. You don't have a chair, you don't have to use a chair. Okay. I'm just going to give you lots of options. Okay. So all we're going to do is come down into a squat, and you can go down as far as you're comfortable. Okay. And just as far as you're comfortable, you can hold on, and we're just going to squat. Okay. And then come back up. So when we're coming down into a squat, the pelvic floor is going to go down too. Okay. We're going to soften through there. When we come back up, the pelvic floor is going to come back up. Okay. And again, it does not matter how far you squat. We can just bend the knees a little bit. This is a squat. Okay. It doesn't have to be a big one. Or you can go all the way down. I mean, you do you. Okay. Okay. So we're going to take a breath here. As we inhale, we're actually going to go down. And you're going to feel some release down there. And then exhale, we're going to come up, and we're going to squeeze coming up a little bit. Okay. So just come down, and you don't have to go very far, or you can go all the way down. So try not to hold yourself. Okay. Because I know that when we go down, you can kind of hold so that you don't fall. I understand that. But when we come down, we want to soften through that pelvic floor. And then exhale, pull up. And then we're going to squeeze.
Yeah, the trouble with the breathing.
I know it's because it's counterintuitive. That's okay. That's totally fine. So you just keep practicing. Okay? Yeah, you just keep practicing. Okay? So when you inhale, you're bending, coming down.
I was always thought that when it's an effort, you exhale.
Yes, exactly.
It's the
Yes.
other way around.
Well, it is the other way around, yes. For this one, yes. For this one, yes. Because when you're going down, the pelvic floor is going to release when you go down. Okay? And you're trying to release it. It's like going to the bathroom, sitting onto a toilet and going to the bathroom. You're releasing. Then you're going to come up, and you're going to pull that pelvic floor back up. Okay? Think of it that way. Okay, but no one's peeing on the floor. No one's peeing on the floor. Okay? So we're just going to go down just as far as we can, see if we can soften down there, and then pull ourselves back up on the exhale. Okay, let's do 2 more times. And it takes work to soften down there, especially when we're coming into this pose. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's not easy. Never said it was going to be easy. Good. Okay, and then we're just going to come back up when you're done. Excellent. Well, let's shake a little bit out. Let's shake a little bit out, wiggle around. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Good. Okay, we're going to do a little bit more now. We're going to come into a lunge. So up to you whether you want to use a chair or not, okay? So you can hold on to a chair, or you can bring your hands towards your heart, okay? We're going to take, let's take the right foot forward and the left foot back. So we can come up onto the tip of our toes, or you can bring your foot down into warrior one, okay? And the legs can be as far apart as you're comfortable, okay? And all we're going to do is bend and lower. So pretty much what we were doing in our chair when we were going down and up in our squat, okay? So inhale, we're going to go down, and we're going to let the hips sink. And then exhale, we're going to pull back up. Okay? So just do the best you can do.
That's hard.
Yes, it is hard. Never said it was easy. Okay. Inhale, come down, and we don't have to go down that far, just bend the knees a little bit. Come back up, we're squeezing up, okay? Inhale, come down. And exhale, come back up. And again, you can keep your foot down. It's kind of like a little squat, and you don't have to go down very far. Okay, let's maybe do 1 or 2 more here. And just be aware what you're feeling. Adjust however you need to adjust. Excellent. Okay, stop for a moment, shake it out, be aware. As I said, all these things you're working more than the pelvic floor. We're working our hips and our thighs and our knees and our shins and our cardio and everything like that. Okay, so we're going to do the other side now. Okay, so we're going to keep our left foot forwards and our right leg back. Okay, and again, you can lift up your toes, whatever works better for you. Hold the chair, don't hold the chair, up to you. Just try to stay as upright as you can. Okay, so inhale, we're going to come down. Try to soften down there, and then exhale, you're going to pull it back up. Okay, so we really have to pay attention and be present. Okay, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale.
I find it easier not to hold the chair because then you're not sending.
That's totally fine. You don't have to hold the chair.
Sending.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. You have to stay up as right as you can. It's like using a walker. You don't want to use it as a crutch. Right. You're using it for support, right? And again, just move your legs how you need to. Doesn't matter. We're just doing a little lunge here. Now, of course, I'm doing a really gentle lunge. We can do a big lunge like this and come down and up. I mean, if we wanted to, if you want to do that, you're very welcome to. But we don't need to do that. We're doing the same thing. So it's entirely up to you, whatever you feel your body needs. Okay, 1 or 2 more. Take a break when you need to. And then I'll shake it out. Shake, 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 shake. Okay, while we're standing up, we are going to do chair, and we're going to see if we can breathe through that pelvic floor. Now, normally when we're doing, did I say chair? Tree pose. I meant tree pose. What did I say?
Chair.
I said chair pose. We've already done chair pose. We don't need to do that again. Okay, so use your chair for support if you need to. Okay, we're going to put the weight into our right foot. So there's the option of either keeping your hands at your heart, doing that hand mudra for the sacral chakra, or you can branch out your arms if you feel really balanced today, okay? So we're going to put the weight into our right foot. I'm mirroring you. Bring the left foot up, okay? Bring your arms wherever you like. Now, if you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. Find your balance, okay? And then focus on your breath, okay? Again, we want to soften on the inhale, and then on the exhale, we're pulling up the pelvic floor, okay? And it's not called cheating when we use our friends for support. This is my friend chair, okay? That's the wall. That's your friend in the wall. It's a support, but it's a friend, okay? The idea is to try to stand up as tall as you can, and your hands can be wherever you like. You're just looking for balance and your breath. Focus in front of you on something that's not moving. And honestly, you can do this if you're seated too. It's always an option as well, but then you really need to press into your foot a little bit more. Excellent. Okay, let's let's shake that leg out. That leg was getting tired. You'll shake it out, shake out the foot, shake out the ankle, wiggle around. And then we're gonna do the other side. So again, if you need the chair, use it. And balance is balance. Like it does not matter how high you bring the other foot up the leg. Doesn't matter. You can bring your foot on top of foot. Doesn't matter at all. Just as long as you're balancing on somewhat on one foot. You can even do this. Okay, but my main balance is on that. The other foot. Okay, which foot are we on? We're on our left foot. Okay, we're on our left. Yeah, we're on our left foot. Ah, yes, it's one of those days. No, it's every single day. I get my left and my right mixed up all the time. So you decide how high that leg is going to be up on your left leg. And then you can decide if you're going to be bringing your hands into your chakra mudra, or if you're going to be branching out your arms or bringing your hands to your heart. Now, once you've found your balance, wherever you may have it, focus. Try not to look down because gravity will pull you down. Try to look forwards at something that's not moving. And then start doing your breathing, your pelvic floor breathing, your diaphragmatic breathing. So there's just a little bit of exaggeration on the breath, right? Just so you can really feel that diaphragm and the pelvic floor moving. We'll just take a couple more breaths here. And feel free to come in and out of the pose as much as you need to. We want to try to stand as tall as we can. Okay. And then we will release that and we will do a little shake out. Shake, shake, shake. And then before we come into our Savasana, we're going to just do a little downward dog. So either using the back of the chair or the seat of the chair, or you can go onto the ground. You just do downward dog on the ground. So holding onto the seat of the chair, the back of the chair, we're getting onto the ground and doing a downward dog. Same pose. Heels can be lifted, knees can be bent, elbows can be bent, let the head hang. And just stretch out your back. And in this pose, you might feel that the pelvic floor can be a little bit more softer and open. It might be even easier to squeeze it in. You should feel that as you breathe. You might be able to feel it a little bit more in this pose. Okay. And then if you're on the floor, you can either come down onto your knees, or if you're using a chair, you can come and sit back into your chair. And then come into a seat. So you can use the chair or not, up to you. And it doesn't matter how you're seated. I'm just gonna open up the chest a little bit, okay? So wherever you are, you're just gonna bring your arms back behind you. You can grab hold of the back of the chair, the seat of the chair. Okay, you can clasp your hands behind you if you want to. You can grab hold of your wrists or your forearms or your elbows, does not matter. And you're just gonna open up through the heart. Okay, you can lift up the chin maybe just a little bit. Just take a few breaths here. Make sure you're breathing. And then we'll release that and give it a shake. Okay, so if you're on the chair, you can stay on the chair. If you're on the ground, you're gonna lie down on the ground. If you want to lie down on the ground, you can. We're just gonna finish with a twist. Okay, a twist. So if you're lying down, you're gonna bend your knees and you're gonna sway your knees from side to side. If you're in a chair, you can do the same thing. sides. We're just gonna move the knees from side to side for a few moments. So regardless, the knees are bent and they're just swaying from side to side. And then we're gonna come into a twist. So if you're on the ground, your knees are just gonna fall to one side. If you're on a chair, you're gonna keep your knees center. And then we're just gonna twist over to one side with your upper body. Okay. Make sure you're relaxing your shoulders, you're breathing. You can move your head a little bit more if you want to, in your eyes. Don't force it. Okay, on your next breath, bring yourself back to center. And we'll twist over towards that left side or the other side, doesn't matter. You went the other way. And again, don't force it, okay? We're just easing into our twist. The knees might go to the other side now. And just breathe. If you're sitting in a chair, just make sure you remain tall. And if you're on the ground, make sure both shoulder blades or shoulders are on the ground. And again, doesn't matter how far your knees go when you're twisting. And then we're gonna release, come out of your twist, and we'll come into Savasana. So if you're on the chair, you're just gonna lean back. You can stretch out your legs. If you're lying down, you're gonna stretch out your legs. Or keep your knees bent, whatever works better for you. Relax your shoulders. Close your eyes, rest your arms either on yourself or down by your side. And the idea is to totally relax here. Relax with your breath. And we're just the observer here. We're just watching ourselves breathe, paying attention to that, paying attention to the sensations that are moving through our bodies. If you can soften just a little bit more. Through your eyes, your jaws, through the big muscles in your body. And slowly begin to bring your awarenesses back. Deepen your breath. And start to wiggle yourself around. If you're lying down, you can stay there. If you're seated in a chair, you can stay there. Maybe just sit up a little taller. Doesn't really matter. Keep your eyes closed if you can, or soft gaze. And we're just going to bring ourselves back to that diaphragmatic pelvic floor breath, breathing, okay? So as you breathe in, everything's going to lower, your diaphragm is going to lower and soften, your pelvic floor is going to soften, you're expanding. And on your exhale, you're drawing the pelvic floor up, squeezing it up towards your diaphragm. Diaphragm's going to lift up, squeeze towards the lungs to release the air. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple more breaths like that. And try to go as slow as you can. Taking your time, really, really savoring each breath that you're taking. Let's just release that breath. Wiggle around, give yourself a little stretch if you like. Give yourself a hug if you like. And then finding a seat once more. And then take some time to reflect on your practice. Try and sit as tall as you can. So just thinking about that pelvic floor for a few moments, something that you probably never think about. Probably never. Until you have to, right? So everything that we practice today works on the pelvic floor, specifically the breathing. Okay. But anything pertaining to that hip pelvis area works on strengthening and lengthening the pelvic floor. So there are some things that we did not do, like butterfly pose is a really good one. V-sit is a really, really good one. Doing lunges, side lunges as well, is a really, really good one. And even just sitting with your legs out wide like this is good for opening up and strengthening that pelvic floor and bringing a little bit more flexibility to it. So just check in with yourself and just notice how your pelvic floor feels. If you can be aware of it. It's like your breath, and just like most things, we don't pay attention. So just take a few moments to pay attention and just notice what you notice. I mean, it is a muscle, so, but we shouldn't feel fatigue down there, okay? We shouldn't feel that muscle gets fatigued. It's every breath, it's moving, so we breathe a lot. So it's a very strong muscle. it sometimes gets a little lazy. And sometimes we need to rest. Resting is not about being lazy as well either. Okay, so just notice when we do rest, we give time to rest, to take time out for ourselves, that your body is actually strengthening at that time. It's repairing itself. Because as we move our muscles around and our joints around, they kind of shred. We lose skin. We lose atoms and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of gets torn apart, and then it repairs itself and brings it back to a more stronger state. Okay. I know sometimes you don't believe that, but it's true. This is I'm quoting science here. It is the truth, not lying. Okay, let's bring our arms all the way up. Give ourselves a nice big stretch. Hands together, down towards the heart. And let's bow into those hands and give gratitude. So feeling grateful for our practice, for who we are. Taking the time out today to practice and doing something extremely beneficial to yourself. And also giving gratitude to those who joined us today with their energy. And as it is Thanksgiving weekend, adding a little bit more Thanksgiving. I mean, we should feel grateful every day, but let's give a little bit more right now, especially this weekend, to thank the earth, to thank others in our lives, to thank the sun, to thank the trees, to thank whatever else that you would like to give gratitude towards. Okay, just thinking out, but especially for yourself, giving thanks to yourself. Good, and we'll finish with Om. Take a breath in through the nose. Sigh it out. Breathe in for Om. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.